Second, the weekend is here. It's foggy along the coast. There's plenty of fog. There's even a chance of thunderstorms. It's a Saturday, May 2nd. The weekend is here. It's foggy along the coast. There's plenty of fog. There's even a chance of thunderstorms in the northern part of the state. These low pressure centers continue to kind of come in on the west coast, and they have been weekend after weekend now for the last month or so, where they kind of slip in and throw a fly into the ointment. And so this weekend is slightly unsettled. You're noticing that now with a little drizzle along the coast and a bunch of fog, deep marine layer. As we go into tomorrow, more showers possible, especially up in the mountain country and the foothills of the Sierra Nevada. So we'll keep an eye on that. So the weekend, we've got this weather pattern that's unsettled. Sunday is slightly in question. It's not a game changer, but it's enough to slow you down. So we'll look at the latest computer models. We got thunder and lightning to the north, or a potential for that, and even in the central part of California on Sunday. And then we'll talk about Fireball California, just because you probably have never really thought about Fireball much, but or maybe you have if you're a fan of the NFL. So here's the satellite loop. We've got the clouds moving in through the state. You can see this area here. Right, that's clearly something. That's the area that could spawn the thunderstorms this afternoon up around Del Norte and Eureka and those areas. There is a secondary low that comes in behind that, which is more out in here. And this is the main system that'll swing in like this, as they all have been doing. And so that's going to keep temperatures down a couple of degrees. It's going to drop. It's not going to get cold. It's going to be kind of mild and warm. Along the coastal sections, it'll be chilly, but along the in the inland valleys, you're still going to be in the 70s and 80s. So we'll look at the temperatures, even tomorrow, Sunday. So here is a visible infrared satellite. It's a mixture, but you can see the fog. Oops, I don't want to do that, but I do want to do this. Here's the fog. See that light area? So look how far inland it is. So that's in response to this low pressure center lifts the inversion up. If this was a high, the inversion would pinch down, the fog would be right at the coast, and it would be 65 degrees in San Francisco right now. Instead, it's 58 degrees in San Francisco, and the fog is stretched out because of this. And this impacts the Sierra Nevada. It's already impacting parts of the coastal section, but as we go into tonight and tomorrow, this system progresses, this system comes this way. So, you know, what are you going to do? You got fog out at Point Conception, a bunch of it. See how far inland it is? Same thing. Southern California, you've got a lot of fog. You will see burn off today in Los Angeles and Del Mar and places like that. But it's going to be slow, and it's not going to get that warm. Coastal sections of San Diego today are going to be in the mid-60s, upper 60s. And then up around Santa Cruz, you're living in the mid-60s. You will see some sunshine, but not a whole lot, especially up by the lighthouse. And then you see fog up in Marin County. So this is how this looks. This is the footprint for rainfall over the next couple of days. And so you see there is a forecast for rain. I didn't want to do that either. So there it is right there. So, you know, 1.5 inches of rain up around Grass Valley, places like that. That's through this weekend, last Sunday. Monday and Tuesday, Monday there's a little something more, and there's a little something after that. So unsettled weather continues for the most part, which is sort of a drag. They've got this thunderstorm, isolated thunderstorm watch. Again, this is the Weather Service headline out of Eureka. The office is saying, hey, listen, we got a chance of thunderstorms, and it's because of this weather system right here, this guy. And you can see why. And there are some showers showing up around Oregon in those areas, but for the most part, I haven't had any reports of thunderstorms yet, but we could this afternoon, especially in the Redding area, up around Mount Shasta, where the dynamics are a little bit stronger. And then again into tomorrow as that next system plows in. But weak systems, they're kind of just, you know, nuisance systems. And it's a nuisance because this is not a holiday weekend. It's a spring weekend, which is like a holiday weekend in this time of year because there are a lot of people planning a lot of things. This is the National Weather Service out of San Francisco, basically going, oh, rip currents. Yeah, they could put that up every day. Rip currents, Ocean Beach, always dangerous, especially in Santa Cruz too. That's because the swell's up a little bit, not much, but I think it's mostly because it's a weekend in the spring and a lot of people are at the beaches. Swell's not that big. Swell's like 4 or 5 feet. Wind advisory from our friends in Las Vegas. They're expecting the winds to go potentially up to 30, 45 miles an hour up by Vegas, out by Bishop, in the Mojave area. Victorville, those places. So those are the headlines from the Weather Service. This is the computer model. And let me see, I'll pull this in. This is hot and cold. Red is hot, blue is cold. Actually, red is above average temperatures, warmer. Blue is below average temperatures. The dark areas are about, I would say those are a good 10 degrees above average, maybe 15. The purples are 10 to 15 below. And then gradients of that otherwise. So here we are. This is the system. You kind of see it right there. That's the system we're tracking. Right front quadrant's got its eye on Southern California. And this is through tomorrow afternoon. So that's tomorrow afternoon looks like the most volatile period. Be interesting. I know. And the thing is, listen, don't change your plans. Just take a jacket. Don't change your plans. Just take a jacket. Lake Tahoe is going to be a little different. So this is unsettled all the way through Monday. Then it kicks out into Southern California on Tuesday morning. And then by Tuesday evening, it's gone. Above average temperatures come in on Wednesday, 5-10 degrees. So that's going to put temperatures in the Central Valley on Wednesday back into the mid-80s. And then even maybe a 90-degree reading up in Redding as we get into Thursday. And then the jet stream kind of stays like it's supposed to. That ridge of high pressure is building back in again on Saturday. And for the first time in a while, not much going on next weekend. At least the models say. But see the above normal average temperatures? So they're with us for a while, the colors. So I'm just looking at the orange going, okay, once this goes by, once it goes by, it stays orange in Northern California for a while, above average, above average, above average. It's not a heat wave, but it's going to get pretty warm, especially right here next weekend. Looks really warm, like low 90s, even up into Medford area. So we'll keep an eye on that. But that's the general trend. So this weekend, right, little bit of this, little bit of that. Don't change your plans. And I know it's a drag, especially if you're posted up at the coast and you got a wedding or something. It's kind of a little bit foggy. It's going to, the sun will peek through. This is today. This is air mass again. This is down at about 5,000 feet. So about where you're standing if you're at Blue Canyon or, Yosemite or something. So you're not that high up, but you're basically in a place where temperatures on Saturday evening are about where they should be. That's today. And then see the cool lower temperatures come in on Sunday. That's Sunday night, into Monday morning. And then Southern California, you are going to be much below average temperatures on Monday. And then the heat comes in. And then watch this. This is day after day of, we haven't seen this in a while, but just above average heat. And there's a point here. That's where it really gets hot. So let's see what the temperatures would be. 10 degrees Celsius. So it's pretty warm. It's pretty warm. So we're getting back into a more late spring, early summer pattern. And we haven't seen that. At least that's what the long-range models are saying. That could change really easily. In the meantime, we're faced with this. Today, what's going to happen? This is GFS model. This is tonight, right here. Right, I know. There's just that Sunday's your best opportunity for something. So look at that right there. So you see that northern quadrant, northern portion of the state. This is Sunday at 8 o'clock at night. So this is Sunday, tomorrow. And you can see some thunderstorms up around Eureka. Southern California, nothing. Southern California, I think you get a little bit further south here. Yeah, this is Monday. And then a little some drizzle along the coast on Tuesday. I wish I had that was more definitive. I know. I would be, this is the accumulation. I would be just doing what I'm doing. This is a forecast of rainfall through next week. So it's there, especially in the mountains. So you get the feeling. So the coastal areas of Southern California, I suspect you guys are going to see a significant amount of drizzle as the system passes through tomorrow. A significant amount, 0.01, 0.02, enough to wet the roads. But not enough to cancel your stuff. Weekends, what are you going to do? This is Mount Shasta. I'm having little issues with my computer today. It's really slow on the playback. Mount Shasta, everybody. And you can see some Virga, V-I-R-G-A. That's rain that's falling and not hitting probably evaporating before it hits the ground. But you can see that flow around. That's that system. You can see the wind shear too if you look close, right? That's what we've looked for in the past. We look for cloud decks moving in different directions. And I see a main flow. It's hard to see above, but there's definitely shear in this air mass for sure. And this is this right here is this right here. That's the system as it goes through. This is the front. You can kind of see the wispiness. So this is Mount Shasta. I should use my pointer, shouldn't I? Here's the front. And Mount Shasta is right in here, right? So if we go back and look at where we were, that's what it looks like. And the back edge of this is probably going to be clearer. There is fog along the coast. This is Crescent City, Eureka. Crescent City today goes 58 degrees. Most spots in the valley are going to go 70s today, 60s in the far north of the state up around Mount Shasta. And drizzle. I think drizzle is a real thing. This is Goose Lake, not a very warm day at Goose Lake. 7,000 foot elevation. And again, you see the same type of cloud cover. So Goose Lake is in that zone. Goose Lake is right, kind of right in here. So you're right in that frontal band, and that's what you're seeing. Behind it, now we know it's going this way, right? So behind it, you're seeing clearing, right? So once that system goes through, it'll drop a little bit of virgo or a little bit of shower activity, but then it's going to go through pretty quickly. So let's see, Goose Lake right there. And again, you're facing towards the west. You're looking more towards, well, I can't really see much from there, but you're looking towards Wairika, essentially. And then this is Lake Almanor, looking towards the west, or south, actually towards the south a lot. And I think if we toggle this way, yeah, there's Mount Lassen right there. So this is looking towards the northwest. And you see, well, you know what we can pick out there? This is behind, see the blue sky? Okay, let's do this. So you know where Mount Lassen is? And they have some blue sky, so they're right about here. So they're maybe just coming out of it. Yeah, that would be them just in this little notch here, right, just outside of Red Bluff. So they're right on the back edge of that system. I find it again. Yeah. There it is. So you're on the back edge of the system. Yeah, fun to do. Butte County. Further south, so not really getting much of anything from that system. View Creek Canyon, temperatures today will be in the 70s for the most part, maybe some low 80s. It's not that cold with this pattern. It's just unsettled. And it's spring. Come on. It's spring. We just got spoiled, right? We had the record-setting March dryness, warmth, 80s and 90s. And so now when it's not 70, we're bumming, and it's like, no, 60s, 70s, that's good. That's about age or time appropriate for this time of year. So, okay, that's Butte Creek Canyon. Let's take a look at, I had there, Butte Creek. Okay, here we are. This is sort of interesting. So, got a gravity wave here. This is off Mount Diablo looking towards the south, kind of southeast a little bit. The gravity wave, so the errors. So if I can get this to pull up. See that topography raises it up, gravity sinks it down. Topography makes it go up. I think it's mechanical lifting. You can get gravity waves as well. So it's just air gets forced up, and then it gets this might be a hill or something, and then the gravity just pushes it back down. So it's a gravity wave, and gravity waves are often in the higher elevations. We would call this. You'd call it just a wave cloud, which is a gravity wave. And glider pilots up in the upper atmosphere, they ride those things, right? Because you know the air's sinking here and you know the air's rising there. So visually you can follow that footprint. Mount Diablo today, again, that's how it looks in San Francisco. That's a lot of low cloud and fog. Air quality, let's see if I can fix that up a little better for you. Air quality looks okay. Sorry about the cluttered screen. Not bad, right? Bay Area, not too bad. A little closer to the low, right? But we are going to find some janky air quality when we get further south. This is Sites Reservoir. I just like this classic valley site. And you can see that system to the right. We're looking towards the north. So there's that system going by to the north. So remember, Sites is down, closer to Maxwell and Winters and those areas. This is all up by Redding, up here, up I-5. So you're on the south end. You're like that teacher. You're just like, stop, I get it. We're right. If I could do it right, we're right in here. Now, awesome. I don't know. And then, so what's the forecast, you guys, for Redding and for the next couple hours. Yeah, 18 holes of golf in the sunshine, most likely, as this system pushes through. What's the forecast for Sierraville or Pyramid Lake in Nevada? Well, there's more clouds, maybe a sprinkle or two over the next hour, hour and a half, 2 hours as this system slides through. So that's just nowcasting. That's the best way to do weather, is to look at a cloud and see where it is, check a live camera. Yeah, it's verified, so I have clear skies. I do this with the radar all the time. Let's see if we get something going on the radar. I do. I think you probably do too. You're probably smart like that. And the idea being, let me see if I can put out radar for us. Not much going on there. I'm trying to find a radar with some stuff on it. Yeah, so this is really low-grade shower activity. But the radars are slightly picking it up. This is actual this is not a great example, but this is actual reflectivity. And then this is the radar going, it's hard. The radar's not always perfect, so it's a little AI smoothing over, going, this is more or less likely what we've got are some light sprinkles or shower activity here. So that's a radar setup. So yeah, we're doing it. Let's get back to get back on track here. That's Sites. I just love that shot anyway. Sites Reservoir looking out towards Maxwell. This is beautiful Central Valley shot. This is looking towards Firebaugh. Yeah, you didn't know anything about Firebaugh until right now. You know who's from Firebaugh? NFL quarterback, probably Hall of Famer someday. Josh Allen is from Firebaugh, California. It was a ferry crossing back in the 1852. Andrew Firebaugh had a ferry. A lot of ferries in the Central Valley because it was all about water. When I was a kid, Ball's Ferry and Jelly's Ferry were still operative. I can't remember what the name was. There was one in Marysville too. So my grandparents lived in Sacramento or in San Francisco. In the early 60s, we would drive from San Francisco back to Paradise, right? Or down to see Grandma and Grandpa in the city. And sometimes we'd go a couple ferries across. And there were old cable ferries. It was fascinating. Ferries on the roads, on the main roads. I think sometimes we took them just because they were still operating and they were fun. I think the ferry system in the Central Valley lasted for a long time. Jelly's Ferry was going until the late 60s, I think. I'm going to have to check that out. But Firebaugh had a ferry there, so it was known as Firebaugh's Ferry. Andrew Firebaugh and Josh Allen. Come on, Josh Allen. That should be enough, right? I think, same thing with it. We're so proud. Aaron Rodgers is from Pleasant Valley, right? Went to Pleasant Valley High School, who we stuffed those guys in football senior year. So I don't know why that matters now, but it does somehow. So this is Grapevine. Grapevine got its name. It was a grapevine trail. They had just grapevines, where I-5 is now. This is Bakersfield area. These are just high clouds from the system to the north. In fact, we can take a look at that. So this is Grapevine. And then you see the high clouds coming in from the system here. Was it from that? Yeah, mainly. It's just break off high clouds from these systems because they get away from the friction flow. That's not an awesome example. So, but Grapevine, California, it was a grapevine. They had wild grapes growing up on the hill. We've talked about this before. Not really a town, though. It's 44,000 feet. A lot of wild grapes, but it's not really. I always think Grapevine's a town, but it's not. It's grapevine. It was a grapevine trail. The Spanish used it. The Native Americans used it, and then we ended up calling it the Grapevine. And then this is air quality. Hope you're having a good day. Weekends looks good. Again, just deal with the drizzle, deal with the cloud cover. It's gonna be nice. Like if you're in Marysville, Sacramento, Bakersfield, Victorville, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be warm too. So these are the air quality. You can see the lessened air quality is down by Southern California. This is Santa Barbara. And they got the cloud. That's what I expected it to look like pretty much all day in Santa Barbara. Not an awesome day. Not an awesome coastal weekend if you have beach plans. They're not bad, but it's going to be, how it is. And again, it's spring. So, yeah, this is kind of not that atypical. This is an interesting pattern, isn't it? First of all, we know there's bad air quality in Southern California, or not great air quality. But look at that. First of all, you see the inversion, right? What's going on there? That's just fog, I guess, creeping into the valley. This is Pasadena. Right here, Caltech, right? And that shows you that's the top of the inversion. There's a clouds above the inversion, but below there's a high pressure creating inversion. Might just be overnight low temperatures, but the air quality does not look good. In fact, we're going to see that right here. Not a great day for air quality, and that's because of that shallow inversion. It'll get better this afternoon in Los Angeles and Irvine. It's, and the air right now is compressed. It's kind of, what time is it? It's kind of late today. I'm late, 11 o'clock. But it'll start to lift out. So if you go to purple area, you'll see it get better and better. Is this good air quality in Los Angeles? No, it's not good. It's not healthy. It's all of it. It's not an awesome day for a run. This is, I know where that is. That's San Diego, UC San Diego. San Diego today is going to go about 66 degrees, not that warm. No, they actually have San Diego. This map has San Diego like 63, so maybe I was off a little bit. But you can see some of these temperatures. Look at down towards Fresno, Bakersfield. They're calling for 90 degrees in Tulare today. And then you see much cooler. I'm not convinced you're going to hit 80 in Redding today just by virtue of where that front is. This is a canned map that I swiped from the Weather Service. So, I think these numbers are all going to be a few degrees cooler, but still pleasant. These coastal numbers, the coastal sections are, I think, the guys who are getting the most cooling today. And then that's tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be the coolest day for a little while because then it warms up. We saw that in the computer models. But you still see down here towards the Eagles, you're still in the 80s, upper 80s, 70s, 84, down towards Victorville. Victorville, I'm just going to pull this out of my bottom, but Victorville has a good minor league baseball team. I know. I looked it up once. I don't know why. Because you know what it was? It was funny. This is a national map. Cold air in here. I was doing cities, and I was like, I like to have a little something to say about every city, as many as I can, so we learn a little more about California and how cities get named and the history. And Victorville, truthfully, they didn't have, I had to search. So the Victorville Fireflies or something, I don't even know what they're called. I should remember it because it's about 6 months ago we did it. But all I could find was a major league baseball team, or minor league baseball team that people seem to like. These are the forecast highs for today. It's very cool in these areas. Rainy, East Coast kind of icky, and then out west. So yeah, these are the forecast highs for the nation today. This map's been driving me nuts. This is Surfline. This map's been slow to load. Yeah, John, we're getting through it. Ocean Beach, God, dude, I saw Andy Olive the other day, I mentioned to you, and he's a good kid. I've known him since he was like 6. But Ocean Beach legend guy, he and Maddie and those guys are good surfers. But he was kind of busting my nuts going, hey, I haven't seen you in the water lately, man. What's up? I'm like, kind of, and I went home and I was kind of felt bad. I go, God, that's right, I'm not surfing enough. I miss my community. And I'm not, I haven't surfed probably in, like I said the other day, it's probably been 3 weeks. I know that's the longest I've ever gone in my life, probably. Just been gunky though. I don't want to jump in that. Just kind of cloudy, foggy. Although this looks better than Ocean Beach. This is Point Conception, and then this is Carlsbad. And look at how it looks today. There, that's kind of how it's going to be. The sun's gonna try to. You know how those beach days are. And again, we're just spoiled, man. Right? Driest March on record for many. Warmest March on record for everybody. April turns into wetter than March for almost everybody, West Coast. April's been, and we had weather in April. A lot of weather, fortunately. And this is weather still. It's just not productive rainfall weather. This is Del Mar. You probably know this. First of all, I don't know what the flags mean. Red means not good, be careful, rip currents. The black and yellow, I think that must be blackballed, right? So you can't surf on that side of this side of the flag. We don't really have flags in up north. I mean, they probably do in Santa Cruz, I guess. But when you have lifeguards, they have rules and stuff. The big move, was to surf in the black, blackballed part of the beach, kind of like, what's the word? Outlaws. Del Mar. Del Mar. It's of the sea. Del of the sea. Mar. Del Mar of the sea, Spanish. 1880s. Just kind of the developers came up with it, when they were developing San Francisco, LA, like we know. And they called it Del Mar, which is an awesome name. I love it when you do that instead of calling it Skeeter Creek. Or There's so many funky names in California. It's like Hangtown. It's like, no, stop, right? It's Del Mar, beautiful, of the sea. Las Molinas, the Mills. That's a beautiful name. El Dulcinea, right? We did that yesterday. That was Don Quixote's love interest. And that's a beautiful name. That's up in Butte County. So Del Mar, of the sea. Oh, Bing Crosby I guess he made it famous. He was pretty big. He built a racetrack there too. He frequented that place, built a racetrack in 1937, and that's where the turf meets the surf, which I always thought it was steak and lobster, but it really started with the horse tracks. 4,000 people. It's a small town. Okay. This is Boreal Ridge. Oh, let's just do it anyway. Come on. Where are we? Where's the cameras? Mountain cam. It's funny. I'm pretty tight off the top, and these back end things, I get a little squirrely. Okay, now I'm bothered. Now I want to see it. Come on. Boreal Mountain cam. Yeah, my computer's giving me problems today. So this is Boreal Ridge, just top of Echo Summit, or Donner Summit, pardon me. And you see the birds, and you see the snow going. They could have gone a couple more days. Alpine or Palisades is still open. Let me check. I texted Hudson today to see how long they're going to be open for. And True to Form Billy, way to get back to me. Dude, never got back to me. I think they're going to be, he says unofficially we're going to be open for a little while longer. These are the birds. This is the sounds of the birds. Huh. Not talking. All right, let's turn it off. So there's the birds. Hey, look how big they're getting. And see mom's getting pushed out of the nest a little bit. Or dad, I can't tell. I think that might be dad. That might be mom. But there's fledging for sure, right? Yeah, the eagles never get old. And then we'll look at Venice Beach. See how the day looks? I turned on Venice the other night. I was messing around. I think I told you this. And I turned this camera on, and it was like a Sunday night. Maybe it was last week. It was like the most people I'd ever seen. I mean, it just packed like a carnival. It's busy today, right? Because it's a weekend. But the evening gets nutty. Oh, by the way, see that chair? My wife would die if I brought that home. Like, I think dude, I got you something for Mother's Day. And then if I brought that chair in this house, she'd divorce me. I know. It's cool and creepy all at the same damn time. Back to the birds. And thanks for tuning in. I just, it is what it is this weekend. There they are. The weather is, especially on the coast, is going to be a little squirrely. And in the mountains tomorrow, a little squirrely, especially from Lake Tahoe northward up into Mount Shasta, Mount Lassen. And the Redding looks a little bit, temperatures aren't that cool. Temperatures are in the 70s, but it's going to be, and even 80s, but it's going to be kind of unsettled tomorrow as that next system, this system dives in. So we'll go back. Get you some, if you're hung in this long, there's that below average temperature. That is this afternoon. That is this evening. So that's just unsettled. I know it's below average temperatures, upper air, but this translates to the surface. But that just, to me, represents unsettled. Kind of like I just showed you along the coast, kind of like I just showed you up in Northern California. And then we go into an extended heat wave. I don't know if I'd call it a heat wave, but above average temperatures, right? I do think we will see some massive heat right in this area here. See that really dark? So that looks really robust heating. So we'll keep an eye on it. All right, I'm not here tomorrow, but I'll be back on Monday. Take care.